In Print Radio. In Print is a professional writers organization located in Rockford, Illinois. We're dedicated to providing resources and education off the page and on the air. Hello, I'm Bob Francis. Today, we're celebrating the 5th anniversary of In Print by taking a little trip into the past. Our first In Print radio show featured then-current President Sandy Colbert talking with the founders of In Print about how the whole thing started.
Joining us today, Kristin Oakley, Kathleen Tresemer, Mary Lamphere, and Carol Ahrens. Welcome, ladies, to the first In Print radio show.
Thank you. Very exciting.
And I suppose I should introduce myself. I am Sandy Colbert, the current president of In Print. Kristin, let's start with you, and feel free, ladies, just jump right in. This is all about In Print. How did In Print come to be?
Let's see. With the 5 of us, there was Pat Noel, that was also one of the founding members, got together in the fall of 2010. We wanted to have an organization for writers that would improve our writing. Whether we were already professional or wanted to become more professional, we wanted to learn more about the craft. So that was our main goal. And we got together to discuss that and how we were going to go about it. One of the things we knew we wanted was to become an affiliate of a larger organization for a lot of different reasons, and contacted Chicago Writers Association and started that affiliation with them.
Now, how long have you known each other?
Oh, it just seems like forever.
Well, let's see. Mary and I probably known each other the longest? No,
because Kathleen was on the Gaelic committee with me.
Before that.
Yes.
Okay, so anyway, I've known Mary since 2008 is when we started our critique group.
Yeah. So this all stemmed out of a critique group? You were all in the same critique group?
No, but we were all involved in writing in the community, Sandy, and we were looking there were several groups in this community in the Rockford region that had offers of creative support for people who were writers. They were very open and friendly to writers, but they didn't have a lot in terms of concrete connections and anything for professional writers. So there were groups like the very long-standing Rockford Writers Guild. There was the Rock Valley College Center for Learning and Retirement has Word Weavers. Those groups were really wonderful for creative support, and we all kind of fell into different groups in the community, but none of them met our needs, and so we sort of were all drawn together with that same need in common. We wanted something to kind of enhance the professional aspect of our writing. I guess I would say, too, that when we started, we were looking for 3 things. We were talking about this before we went on air today. We were talking about we wanted to address this need for established writers who were looking to improve their writing capabilities. We wanted to offer something for new writers who wanted to get good enough that they could be published in some form or another. And we also wanted to address the needs of professional writers who wanted a professional network that expanded beyond just kind of our group. You know, writers are typically pretty introverted.
Right.
And so we don't seem to attract one another in a community very well. So this would be a great networking potential. And those were the kinds of things we were looking for when we started.
So you all met one day and said, let's start.
We met several
times.
It took a while to plan.
We met at Kristin's house and talked about what we, as Kathleen said, what we wanted as far as a group was concerned and how we were going to go about this and how we were going to establish ourselves. One of the key points, as Kristin pointed out, was the CWA connection, which we felt we really needed that to have our network broadened and have more professional input into our writing.
Well, and also for the nonprofit status. They have that and we don't. And so we could use that for a lot of benefits. Most particularly our book fair at Barnes & Noble every year. You can only do that if you're nonprofit. And we could borrow their status for that purpose, which has been a great fundraiser for us every year.
Well, and we really were looking for a really broad enough network that we could meet that need of those people who wanted to expand their professional networks right away, right out of the gate, because otherwise you wouldn't have, it would take many years to build that kind of a network. So we have Chicagoland, southern Wisconsin, all the way really we could really conceivably go all the way out to the Mississippi River, northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin region, essentially.
How did you get the word out? I mean, your first meeting, was it 5 people?
No. Isn't that interesting? Because we started meeting in September of 2010.
The 5 of us, we were the 5 first paying members right here. Well, 4 of us. And then we kicked off in March.
Yeah.
At the beginning
Mary
of
and Kristin were instrumental in forcing the rest of us to meet for their first meeting in March because we were terrified that we would show up and have 3 members besides us.
So we got Kelly Epperson as our keynote speaker. She wrote about the joy of writing, very inspirational. And I don't remember how we got the word out.
You
but
went
we
on
did.
TV.
No, that was later.
Oh, when newspaper.
Newspapers and
we put little
with
cards.
friends. We had list of friends that that we all thought would be interested.
Social media.
We figured, I don't know, we were guessing 15 to 20 people maybe.
We went to every library. Mary is our creative expert. She does all our marketing type materials, and so she made us some things, some postcards and posters and things that we put in every library, every store, every bulletin board, coffee house. And we were astounded that our first meeting, so we started meeting in September of 2010, our first meeting was only 6 months later, and we had almost 50 people show up.
Wow.
Just under 50 people, yeah.
And we thought, yay! But then, what will this happen next month as well? And we did. It kept up.
It kept growing a little and a little each month.
As you said, and Kathleen has said before, we found a niche. People really needed this in this community. Yeah, it's been wonderful.
And I just want to say that in terms of affiliating with Chicago Writers Association, they were very excited to work with us. Kristin went to those meetings.
Did you know anybody there?
No, just through emails. And we found them because we thought, well, we wanted to have an affiliation. We Googled them. Didn't know that they were even around. Yeah. And so emailed, the Randy Richardson was the president still at the time.
Right.
And emailed him and asked if they were interested. And without hesitation, that yes, they were. And then they asked me to be on the board, which made sense. I was president at the time of Imprint, to be on the board of CWA as well, so that we had that connection. And we've continued with that. So it's been a really great partnership.
Yeah, they were really concerned about their ability to expand out of the immediate Chicago suburban area. They did have some people in southern Wisconsin, I think, at that time, but they were really concerned about that. They had grown as far as they could go. They didn't know. They're primarily an online group. They really aren't, they don't have as much hands-on contact as we do, but they're very excited about affiliating with us. And I think it's a real positive venture.
Oh. Absolutely.
That affiliation.
I mean, still, there's always something that we get invited to, which is great because when you go to anything that's CWA, the writers are big-time writers. I'm just in the company of some really, really well-known writers, and
writers and agents and publishers,
yes. And it's kind of almost intimidating. It's like, oh my gosh, I've hit the big time here, because it's Chicago. It's it's a great affiliation, and I'm glad you guys were able to do it. If you could know, what would you have done?
I don't know.
Well, we knew we were going to be able to affiliate with some other group.
I guess we just never thought about
we
what
never,
would happen.
Right.
You never thought about failure. This is happening, and
well, we were doing it. Not to sound selfish, but for us, we knew what we wanted and what was lacking in our own writing careers and what we wanted to do to improve our writing.
Right.
And so we put this together for us. And whoever came along for the ride, that was an added bonus. But really, that was the purpose. Yeah. But then, because of CWA, we offered the membership to both Imprint and CWA at the same time. So that was an added bonus to belonging locally. Then you had that network.
Well, we doubled their numbers.
Yeah, we did.
That's right. They've really benefited from their affiliation with us. Because if you think about it, how many people we have coming from the Savannah area, from Freeport area, Lena, that they would never have attracted. Some of us from the Rockford area may have gone that far, but probably not the rest.
It's funny, when I moved to Rockford from Arizona, I was in a group in Arizona. And it was just another group that didn't, once again, meet my needs. I mean, they couldn't even answer questions. It was just a matter of joining this group and reading what you wrote or talking about what you wrote. And it was very unfulfilling. And then I came to Rockford, and that's the first thing I did. I started looking for a writer's group. And once again, I was disappointed. And then I joined because I went to the Barnes & Noble Book Fair.
Yeah.
And I went to the table, and when I found out what you guys did, I didn't hesitate. I just took out my checkbook and I just signed up right away, because we're not just a social group that sits around and talks about writing.
You're our success story, Sandy. You're just you're our poster child then.
Yeah, tell me about it, because now I'm the president. I didn't have to join a writers group and not be the president of a writers group, but here I am. So from there, you also did have the Barnes & Noble Book Fair. Was that the first one that you had?
Yes, that October.
Okay, that was your first fundraiser.
Or September. I guess it was September.
October, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then here we are in year 3.
Yes.
Going into our third.
Isn't that amazing? It's just exciting, actually.
It seems like we've always been around.
It does.
What did they do before us?
I don't know.
What did we do before us?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, this is true.
not enough. That's why we started this group.
Well, our stories are all different and what motivated us too. And so we really complemented each other that way.
Well, I noticed that on the board, all the board members also worked really well together, and they all had a certain amount of expertise. So it was, even finding your board members, I think, was an impressive feat.
They really kind of came to us.
Yeah.
That was
Even at the first meeting, we had people wanting to join right away.
Really?
Yeah.
They wanted to be on the board?
It's hard to believe we know. They thought they were getting paid, I think. That was the thing.
It's before they realized how much work is involved in a volunteer organization.
Yes, this is true.
It looks great on your resume, though.
Well, if you think of it, I mean, Kristin came, you came with a rough draft of a manuscript and not really knowing, now what do I do?
Right. Where do you go from here?
Yeah, and
Well, that's where you were too, Sandy, when you met us.
Exactly. It's all done.
Right.
It's just like, now what do? I have no idea. It was this huge barrier. How do you get to the world of publishing after you've written something? And unless you have a degree, when you start reading the jackets on these books, they've got 14 degrees from major universities. Well, of course, you're going to get published. But for somebody else out there who's a talented writer, not saying that I am, but I mean, there's all these talented writers out there, and they all felt the same. You can only get so far. You could write it, and then you put it in a box and stick it in the closet, because you don't know where to go.
But see, Sandy, I think really the idea behind those degrees is not that they have a degree, but they have connections.
Yes.
Through that degree program, they met many, many people. They had professors, they had advisors, they had connections in their communities, publishing connections that none of us had for one reason or another, whatever our career aspirations were. Mary, when you were first coming to imprint, you had a pretty substantial career, though, already as a professional marketing person, didn't you?
A graphic designer.
Graphic design.
Yes. I just do the work. You have to put it out there.
She was our hero because she designed our logo and
Oh.
all of that. And if it hadn't been for you, we would never have our name.
We'll have more from the founders of Imprint right after this. Imprint Radio. Sandy Colbert is talking to the founders of Imprint.
That's the next question. Who thought
We
of
would have been
Imprint?
the unnamed writers organization.
We went through many names, and we have Kristin actually to thank for the name.
I apologize, Kristin.
No, because we thought ink, basically the same as being in print. Ink, you're writing. I-N-K. And what's funny is that Kristin's name ends with in. So first we had Kristink, and we thought that wasn't very appropriate. So then we went with Kristin Print. But then we shortened it for the masses. It's just in print.
Mary lies. Just so the masses know.
There's more to the story, because the 3 words, the Chicago Writers Association underneath, it's what is it? Think, Write, Inspire. So it's TWI. We thought, well, let's use those words and those letters, come up with a word. So we thought we'd call ourselves WIT, which is kind of fun and, cute and clever. And
tied directly in with the
then
Chicago Writers Association.
Kathleen was very quiet about that, which is not, pretty unusual for Kathleen. And then she got home and she's like, so they're going to call us witless and other things. Dimwitted. So,
Halfway.
Half-wit.
that went out the window. We did not use wit.
But weren't you the one, or was it you, Googling all these names? Every name we came up with, Mary and Kristin were Googling away, and everything that we came up with was already, was already taken.
In Houston, I think.
But
it's not a social organization. It's not a writers. It
was a business.
I think so. So we thought we're far enough.
And it was one
Houston.
word.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
But Imprint was perfect because that's what we wanted to be. In print.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like I said, you've got a really good board behind you, too, right away. So.
Oh, yeah.
And you were active right away, I mean, with the events and the speakers.
Well, yeah, our first speaker was Kelly Epperson, who did the kickoff on the Joy?
March 12th, Joy of Writing.
And then...
And she was hysterical.
And we had a legal person.
Aaron Brooks. And we had Lori Shear from UW, did Fear of Success. And then...
And Aaron wrote about the legal ramifications of contracts or something.
Copyright
law.
And then Lori turned around and said, you guys aren't that far from Wisconsin. Why don't I put together workshops for you? So those started that fall, too. Our first series of workshops with her. We're having some more come up this fall, so that's worked out well. And then in addition to the speakers, we put together a protagonist party.
Come as your character.
Come as your character. Dress as your character. Plot party.
We did plotting.
Just something that you guys
These
thought
were
of,
things that we had gone to at UW,
Okay.
different things, and then also things that mostly
just
Mary's our creative genius, so she
Yeah.
came up with a lot of these ideas. And
Right.
again, it was things that we knew we needed to develop more in our own writing, and how could we bring that out for ourselves and for the members. So they were always a big hit. And then it's celebration at the end of the year,
Right.
celebrating the successes that people had. We had readings, and didn't really start with our first contest until last year, I'm guessing. Yeah.
Well, we went to Printers Row. That was the literary festival in Chicago. Of course, Chicago Writers Association had stuff going on down there, and we had a field trip. Went together. That was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. That really worked out neat, and we met other people down there. And
Went to the Rockford Register Star field trip.
That was fun.
Oh, and we had a retreat
yes,
That was good.
in the woods. That was beautiful.
Yes.
up at the
YMCA camp.
Camp Winnebago.
We also did a courthouse tour.
Oh, that's right.
So you girls have been busy.
Oh, it was a lot of
Not
fun.
just us.
Not
All
just
of
us.
Imprint.
All of Imprint has
These are
been
just the
busy.
kinds of things that we offer.
Well, and a monthly newsletter. We
Right.
developed a monthly newsletter right away, and the website.
We got the website now, we got Facebook.
Right,
And we're
right.
actually now entering the world of YouTube. Thank God for the new generation coming up.
Yes.
We have a 13-year-old member, and it looks like we're also going to have a 12-year-old member.
Excellent.
And so we're really going through all age groups, all kinds of writing. I mean, Richard does the comic books, sci-fi writers and memoir and it's
Poetry,
just
some
poetry. Yes, yes.
Well, I was a journalist when I first came.
That's right.
I was writing for the local paper, a column for the paper. Now I'm doing website writing. I've been doing that professionally for several years, which I made a contact through someone else. So yeah, it's been very beneficial to have so much diversity. I think
Right.
that's one of the
Right.
really exciting things. We have an awful lot of different kinds of people. If there's anything you want, there's.
I think that's
There's
what
somebody
impressed
that
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
If there's any questions you have, we have somebody who can help you.
Well, let's go around the table and tell me what you write and how Imprint affected you and your writing. Carol, do you want to start? Well, tell us what kind of writing you do.
I do mostly fiction, short stories. I'm working on a novel. I've been working on this novel forever. I also do articles for different magazines that I've been published in. As far as how Imprint influenced me, again, it was the professionalism that was lacking in the organizations I belonged to before. When you mentioned that when you came here, you didn't want a social network type thing. You
Right.
wanted something that was really going to be beneficial. And I had that same thing. When I came to this area, I had been in Midwest, Mid-Central Wisconsin, and the group I belonged to there they were all very nice little people, and they were very sincere, but they really weren't into being professional about their writing. And you didn't really critique each other's writing. Everybody would read something, but nobody said, oh, you should do this, or that, or what about this?
applauded.
Everybody applauded. Oh, it's so great, Obviously, there were no winning authors in that group, so that is one of the things that for me from in print is the professionalism, being accountable, and I haven't always been very accountable for my writing. So imprint helps me in looking at ways to focus, ways to set goals and objectives, those kinds of things.
Kristin?
I started writing an editorial column for the Freeport Inc., which is no longer around. And I've written several articles for Home Education magazine, but since I was a kid, I wanted to write a novel. And have written a few short stories, a couple that have been published. But started my novel with my critique group and finished it, about 2 years ago now. Have it farmed out to a couple of agents and a publisher, waiting for it to be published and thinking very specifically about self-publication. And I'm on my second novel in the series, and I'm starting a third novel in a totally different arena. And have joined the new imprint Writers Book Club and the imprint Prompt Club that Mary runs. And so the Prompt Club, you have to have a 1,000-word short story every month. And I am really good with ideas, but I get one really good idea every 5 years. So this will get me to get a good idea, maybe, or at least an idea once a month. So anyway, imprint is going to help me with the creativity that way, and has all along. And it's mostly, I think, the support has been great, because I know I would not have gotten my novel finished, completed, if I didn't have that support. But it is also the connections and knowing what's out there and who to talk to about the different things. Last Saturday, we had our writers block party in Elgin at the public library with CWA, and the panel was 6 published authors who have self-published and also been traditionally published. And now I know where to go to talk to about, okay, I'm serious about this self-publishing. Who do I talk to? And they're there for you. So those kind of opportunities are what imprint has given me and continues to give.
Right. Don't forget your class that you are teaching. Hello.
So bad at marketing myself. This is one of the things I have to learn through imprint. Yes, I am starting an online course. Yes. It's you can sign up for it September 1st. It kicks in September 10th, and it's called Edge of Your Seat, a Cliffhanger How-To. It's through UW Madison. I'm very excited about that.
Yes.
Thank you, Kathleen.
We are so proud of our Kristin.
I know. That's why she was our first president.
I don't mean to get off the subject, because we'll go back to you, Kathleen, but how did you decide who was going to be what?
Oh,
I was the only one that volunteered.
She was the organizer.
I volunteered.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, yeah, Carol's right. She was the organizer, keeping notes.
There's actually a reason behind that, because years before I did a lot of volunteering and I was burnt out, let's just put it that way. And then I joined one of the local writers organizations, so I didn't get involved in that at all. The rest of the ladies were involved in some of these organizations, and they had gotten pretty much burnt out from some of that. So by this time, I had recovered from my burnout, and I said, "Okay, I'll get us going on this." It was really a group effort. It had to be. It was just a huge undertaking.
Right.
Yeah.
So you said, well, I want to be marketing and...
It just kind of
It was,
happened.
where our strengths were.
Right.
Really.
We were already doing the jobs. We didn't label them till later.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. That makes sense. So Kathleen.
Well, this is actually writing as a profession is really a second career for me. So I was in human services before, and I always wrote. I wrote lots of things, but I decided less than 10 years ago I wanted to write professionally, a second career. So I wrote magazine articles. I wrote brochures for organizations. I wrote some features. We have horses, so I was involved in some horse-affiliated organizations. I did some of their work and got my feet wet. And then I joined a children's writers group out in Freeport, and they were doing a lot of kids stuff, and I thought, and that was the only one I really could find. Somebody told me about it. So I would drive out to Freeport and meet with them once a month and kind of started writing some kids stuff. I wasn't real excited about what I was writing, but they all just thought I was swell, as they thought everybody was swell. And they were very supportive, unbelievably supportive and respectful, but they didn't have a lot of contacts and motivation, so I went looking. The next thing I did in the course course of deciding, I thought I want to build a writing resume, because, I knew from working before you needed to have some sort of credentialing. So I contacted newspapers and said, I have this idea for a column called The Second Half. And I wrote about the needs and interests of people in their second half of life. Well, the Rock River Times picked that up, and, they paid me to be a columnist for several years until they couldn't afford to do it anymore. But I also got to do features and reviews, which was exciting. I did some musical reviews, and I did features for them. When assign anybody else, they were all busy, they'd contact me, and I got to do those things. So that was a really good experience, because it taught me about deadlines and how to write, how something has to be good enough and get done with it. Then another writer mentioned, I do this writing for websites. Would you be interested in that? I thought, well, whatever. Sure. Sounds good. I didn't know really what that was. So I've been doing that for some time now, writing website content for a website developing company. And I've done other ghostwriting and that kind of stuff. So the thing that drives me to that is, just like Kristin, I have a manuscript completed. I have two, actually. I have a young adult manuscript, and I have a contemporary fiction manuscript that I have out there shopping for somebody who can't resist publishing me. I have two other fiction works, work in progress, one young adult and one a contemporary fiction that is actually a sequel to the first one. So anybody who wants to publish me is going to get really a great deal.
Oh, yes.
That's kind of what I think. Although I have really been considering recently independent publishing, as Kristin has been, because we've met so many people in the course of this adventure in the past 3 years in imprint, so many people who have published independently and have been very successful.
We'll be back with more of the Roundtable right after this. Welcome back. We're celebrating 5 years of imprint by rebroadcasting an interview with the founders.
That's one of the benefits of imprint. We formed right at a time, don't you think, when the publishing industry was going through massive changes.
Yes.
It used to be when we all started getting together, you could only get published if you went through an agent, and then the agent sent your stuff to a publishing company, and you would have to follow those traditional.
Well, people were self-publishing, but that was looked down
It's
upon.
called vanity publishing.
It was not a good
It
thing.
had a mean name to it.
Yes.
Well, it was desperate.
It was desperate.
Yeah.
It was a last resort.
Yes.
Or if you just wanted to publish something
Only
for
resort.
like a family history,
Yes.
you could go and get that published for all the members of your family or something, yeah.
And we're only talking a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah.
That's
yeah.
how quickly it's all changing.
And so all of this stuff that has occurred since then has been, dramatic
Did they
changes.
have e-readers back then? Seriously, I don't remember talking about electronic publishing even at all.
Maybe
It was
not.
all
I think
just
we were all
hard copy.
together when we were getting our Kindles and whatever else we have, iPads and,
I still
yeah.
don't have any of those, but yeah.
I do, because any way to read is a good way to read.
It's true.
So,
Put that on a postcard. Yes.
So we have, we've really come a long way. I mean, there was no such thing as website development and search engine optimization. These were all things I had to learn that weren't just, you could just pick up a book and learn them. They were already developing when we came into this. And Kristin does website writing as well now. And did you ever do some?
I
Carol?
looked at it, but I never really got involved in it.
Okay.
So it's still something I can look at, but
Mary just blogs like crazy and does that kind of thing, which has more tenacity than I'm willing to commit to. But so that's my resume.
And imprint, like the others have said, it just, because of our connections and because of who we're talking to now and CWA, it impacts what we do.
Well, absolutely. And while these are volunteer positions that I hold a position on the advisory council of the Center for Learning in Retirement. I do media work for them. I do the same kind of work for Beckman's Mill, which is a historical site in southern Wisconsin, right near the Illinois border, outside of Beloit. And so I do work for different places, which allows me other connections, which has helped me connect other people in imprint with other people in the community. So all of these things have grown so dramatically in just the 3 years since we started this.
Mary?
I don't know that there's anything left to say.
What do you do?
My writing history. I used to write for fun, and then I decided I wanted it to be more than a hobby. So if you're going to pursue writing as a professional, you need connections. I have written many short stories. I've had several published. I've been award-winning. I started the Prompts Club through InPrint as a way to, stay on task. Like Carol had mentioned, accountability is very important. On my own, I just kind of don't do it. But once a month I meet, I'm assigned, I have to do it. I am accountable to these people, and it's good for me, padding my collection. I do have a website, thanks to Linda Kleczkowski, plug, who has offered a class and may offer again on website building.
Which is excellent.
Yes. And I think that's important to build my credibility. I do blog every Monday. Sometimes it's just personal. Sometimes it's about writing.
It's always brilliant.
It's always brilliant.
And funny.
And fun.
Clever.
Check me out, MaryLamphere.com. Yeah,
Your novel.
I have completed 2 novels, one of which I have sent out to 2 agents thanks to a conference at the UW-Madison. I'm telling you, between Imprint, CWA, and UW-Madison, we are golden.
Right.
We know people, and
Right.
they're going to help us.
Right.
And I'm always working on something. I have 8 other novels started. So,
And a large part of all of our successes will be due to InPrint
yes.
and our connections. And it sounds like we're overstating it, but we're not.
No.
No, and the advantage of this then is as people become successful, then they're there to mentor those people and share information, and they don't have to stumble like we did. We really worked hard for a while until InPrint was formed, and we all struggled. And so once we are all famous and rich and dripping, like Stephen King will be hanging out at our house. And so I figure, then we have something to give back to this, not only just to the writers, but also to the community, because writing is much more than just a person independently sitting down and putting words on paper. There's so much to contribute to our community.
Well, I think that's what I find when I've talked to some of these authors, whether it's David Berner or Libby Hellman, any of them. They are so generous with their information. They're published, they're out there, they know, it seems like they know everything and they know everybody, and they are so willing to share all of this. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably one of the surprising things.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing I think about us being introverted as writers, it's not entirely true, because you get a group of writers together in a room and they talk about writing and everybody talks at the same time and it can go on for hours. Right. It's a passion with all of us. We just love it. We love to talk about it. So no matter where we are on the path of publication, we want to share that. We want misery to come along, but we also, success to pass that along. So it's wonderful.
You're talking about your book, which is like talking about your kid.
Right.
It's the same thing. It's like, I am so proud of this book. Even if it's not published, I know it's good. And I want to talk about it, and I want to tell people about it. And everybody kind of has that attitude, but everyone's very willing to share, well, there's this publishing horror story, or that's horror story, as well as the good stories. And so that access seems to always be there. I haven't talked to anybody yet who gets very closed-mouthed about it. They are more than willing to talk.
Right.
Well, it's because we're not in competition with each other.
Right.
People are always going to need another book, so it might as well be yours, and then mine after yours.
Well, and from an academic perspective, kids are out there looking to want a degree in English. I want a degree in journalism. I want to move forward. People who have done things in newspaper, in website, in, so many forms of writing that are out there. Richard, who's done reviews and movie reviews and book reviews and all kinds of things. We've had so many different things. Who would know better than the people who do this and who can contribute to the academic process teaching about writing isn't going to just be in the classroom. They're moving out there. Well, the people in this community didn't have a lot of places to go to get that kind of information and feedback. It's a very rich group that we have. The sources is very diverse and rich. So anybody who is interested, but you don't have to even be a member of Imprint to know that everybody I know knows somebody who wants to write a book or who wants to get published or who is a short story or poet or, who would be a great journalist, wants to be on TV, a TV reporter or whatever. They're everywhere. So where do they go? They can just sit in school and think about it, or they can learn from people who've been there. It's a wonderful opportunity, and we have learned so much. I wouldn't have done half the things I did professionally so far in this short several years that I've been doing it if it hadn't been for these people right here sitting here.
Right. What do you see in the future?
Well, I think the future is unlimited for us. I see us drawing in even more diverse populations. Mm-hmm. I see us becoming even more noticed with people, particularly with those who are out there searching and haven't found us yet. They're going to find us because we're going to make sure that all the words are out there that they can find us. So I think the future is really bright for us.
Lots of ideas still. I'd like us to have the non-for-profit status for a variety of reasons, money being one of them, but it also gets the word out too. We talked about having a conference eventually down the road and putting money aside for
Lit Fest would be awesome.
Yeah.
and that own
Yes,
Lit Fest.
we want our own Lit Fest.
A lot of those things. But also, I think it's great the way it is, too. Expanding it to more members is always a good thing. New blood. New board is awesome. So, and they're carrying the torch very well. So, it's just a bright future. There was always great potential, and there always is. There's always more potential. Lots of
opportunity. Did you think about it when you started? It's like, did you think 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road? Or were you just hoping to get the first meeting over with?
I think we were hoping for good things, but didn't know what to expect. We were really just, how is this going to take, is this going to take off at all? I mean, we really didn't have...
We were very selfish. Like you mentioned earlier, Kristin, we did it for us.
Yeah.
So as long as we were getting something out of it, we were going to keep doing it.
Well, and, because we put so much time in it without getting paid, and so why not have the programs that we wanted and the speakers that we wanted?
Okay.
And it worked for a lot of people, not just us.
Right.
It was obviously what people wanted.
Writers share a lot of the same wants and needs and problems. And writing is really hard. I think people were all, yay, imprint, but writing is hard. And I think one of the base importances is surrounding yourself with people who understand that.
Yes.
And you get that support. We can totally whine and we get it. And then we talk ourselves out of our funk because we have the support. I think that's really important too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and I think, they're forgetting some of the beginning wild-eyed visionary stuff. These guys are being real practical, but the truth is we really had some big dreams when we started, and we really, if one person had said, "Are you nuts? This is so stupid. We shouldn't do this," it might have crushed the whole process, but nobody did that. Everybody was very optimistic and positive and energetic, endless energy in a very short time frame. And my big dream is that for the future is that we publish, is that we have a literary journal, some kind of a quality publication, and that's really not that far away. We wanted to get enough of a base of people with a little bit of diversity, and then of course Wisconsin UW kind of jumped in there and stepped on our toes a little bit because our dream was to have it, and they came out with their Midwest Prairie Review. But whatever we come up with in Imprint, a publishing opportunity for people I think it's important for people in the process, in the beginning, to have successes. I had some successes. Mary says she had awards. I got an award, entered a competition and won an award, and actually got a check for $25 from Writer's Digest. I was so excited, I'll tell you. I was like, I earned some money. It was great stuff. But I think we could produce more than there are opportunities certainly on the Imprint blog for people to be guest bloggers.
Yes. Well, and CWA has a e-zine, they call them.
An e-zine.
That you can publish on that, too. Mm-hmm.
So there are those kinds of opportunities, but I want something in hand that we can
In print.
In print. Thank you. That we can hold up, and that we can put in libraries. We really did a lot of work in libraries. We sit at this very moment. We are not in a studio. We are in a library, having our very first meeting as we speak. And so our initial meetings were in libraries and working together. And we meet in libraries, not exclusively, but the majority of our meetings are in libraries. We want to be around like-minded people who like to read and write and who care about ideas. And so to me, that's the dream for me, is that we'll have some publication. Who knows? We could be in print publishing. We could be publishing books and all kinds of things someday.
And what were we going to purchase, Mary, down the street that was on the block? Was that last year? The big house.
Oh, that's right.
What's the name of that house?
The Gaylord Mansion.
Yes. From our dues, everybody pays $30. We're going to pool all our dues and buy that and have an author house.
Writer's Mansion, yeah.
Right,
Yes.
where we just meet.
For
Our meetings would be
meetings,
there, and then,
conferences.
yes.
Let's get back to earth.
Those are our dreams.
Never.
Yes.
We'll be back with more of Sandy's discussion right after this. In Print Radio. We're celebrating In Print's 5th anniversary by rebroadcasting our first show that featured the founders of In Print. Let's return to the discussion.
We also discussed getting one of those espresso machines. Is that what they're called?
Those book
Where you
printing
printers,
machines.
The book printing.
It prints off
It's
a whole
not
book.
coffee. It's
I
a book.
thought you were talking
Yeah,
about
no,
coffee.
no, but I do think that's what it's called.
Is it called espresso or something?
I don't know.
Well, we'll still get the coffee machine.
It's in bookstores now, in certain bookstores, but primarily universities and things, where you can go in and you type in your what book you wanted, and it prints it while you wait, and you purchase it and walk out.
It's like a red box for books.
Right.
My goal for the Prompt Club, and I'm putting it out there. No, I think we should do a publication. That should be our goal. In 2014, we will have a Prompt Club collection for your purchase and reading pleasure. I'll test drive it for imprint as a whole.
Well, I still want to see a Lit Fest, and hopefully in 2014 we could bring a really nice big Lit Fest to Rockford.
What a wonderful thing for this area.
It would be wonderful. Yeah, it would be wonderful for the authors, for the readers, for Rockford. I really, really think we can pull it off, and I think we would have a huge crowd. Anytime I've ever mentioned it to anybody, even in Chicago, they're like, "Go for it. We'll be there." So I think, after the holidays, it's going to be our total focus that we get the Lit Fest off the ground for late summer or early fall. My philosophy, and I hope I'm not overstating it, but I don't think I am, with In Print is we can do great things. I mean, we provide resources and knowledge. We're doing great things with all these little things that we do, whether it's just encouraging a 12-year-old to get up and read her story, or a 13-year-old to get involved with our group and put us on YouTube, or a 62-year-old who's sitting there with a manuscript. What little input we might have that helps them achieve their dream, well, we've done great things. Yeah. We can do great things. We can do great things for the community. There's a bright future out there for imprint. So I think our future is just exciting. I think our membership's going to increase. We're going to become, I would like to see us become a force. I want people to look for us and say, I've heard of Imprint. Can I join Imprint? I've heard of you, and I live so-and-so. I live in Chicago. I live here. I live there. But I've heard of you people because you are important. You're important to the writing community. You're important to the city of Rockford. And with a journal and with a Lit Fest, I think, and a radio show,
I like it.
Yeah.
we just have to do it.
Go see it. See, and that's why all of us, all the founders, stepped away from the board after our terms were up, because we said we wanted all those new ideas. We were selfish. We wanted what we wanted for us. But now there's a much bigger community, and we want everybody's ideas.
You were saying that what you were doing was selfish just for yourself. Well, now we could finally start branching out and do for others.
Right.
Whether, like I said, if it's somebody from 12 to 65 to 75, and everybody in between who has different interests, different needs, we can find a resource for you. We can help you achieve your dream.
Well, Imprint has already become a writing village. You know, when you say it takes a village, it's already become that. There's every aspect of writing addressed, for everything from script writers to poets to, everything in between. And so we have it. It's just a matter of people hearing about us and connecting with us. That was the big thing that we all experienced. We had a lot of problems finding something to connect with, and now it's here.
And Imprint is going strong. Any other thoughts or comments about Imprint?
It's such a positive group.
We are.
That's the thing. Everybody we talk to, no matter what aspect of writing they're involved with, they're very positive and generous and respectful of what everybody else is doing. It's been such a great experience. Kind of we get choked up when we talk about it. Each one of us, when we were sort of stepping back and letting the group kind of take over, it was a little emotional.
One of the things I was thinking that was kind of funny, we put together one of our first workshops at our meeting, and we didn't know how many people were going to show up, and I think we had like maybe 15 to 17, because it's very scary for people to actually sit down and write in front of other people and then present that in front of the group. And it was tricky for people. But I think what happened with that, they got so much out of it and grew in their own writing in just that hour. They realized how much they could learn, that after that, all of them were 20 to 30 people every single time. We had quite a good turnout for that. Yeah, so I don't know. Everything's been, I can't think of anything that we've had a hard issue with or anything. It was, really, it's been wonderful.
Well, and the fact that we get that many people come to a monthly meeting, that's only really, there's something for a broad interest.
On a Saturday afternoon.
On a Saturday afternoon. Yeah. So maybe it wouldn't be something that would interest Joe Blow, but it might interest somebody else in the group, and so there's a lot of diversity in our presentations and our monthly meetings, because the meetings aren't just meetings, they're presentations or programs of some sort. So that's a big opportunity to have a choice. Plus, there's all those people who never come to those meetings, who are resources, who just want to be part of the group and just want to be able to connect with others, or be in a critique group that meets on the side, or just go to Mary's Prompt Club or something.
Well, we have the newsletter and the information on the newsletter, the website, Facebook, and all of that. So they have access to all of that, even if they never come to a meeting.
Exactly.
You never see them again.
So there's no obligation. Two people I write with who just recently joined Imprint, and they come in from the Freeport area. And they said, well, we really don't it's a long drive to go to a meeting once a month, or, that kind of thing. And I said, no, that's not what it's all about. And when I explained what we had to offer and I talked about some of the different programs we had, they were very anxious, because they do. One of them has published a lot of children's material, and another one has a young adult book independently published out right now. So, when people understand that it's not just a group you go to a meeting.
And we almost shouldn't even call them meetings. I don't know, seminars or something. I mean,
it's beyond the meeting. Write that down, Carol.
Yes. Hands-on activities. We do, though, leave an hour at the end of it. We meet for 3 hours, but we do, because we did realize that we wanted social time.
Right.
That we do want to connect with each other a little bit.
Right.
Although you added, Sandy, the reading, the option to read.
Right.
So after the general meeting, program, keynote speaker, whatever happens to be going on, then people can volunteer to get up and read something current that they're working on, which I think has been a great addition. It's nice to hear what other people are writing and their ideas. You learn more about people that way, too.
And they get a little bit more confident when they've gotten up there, and they get good feedback and comments on what they've written. Just that little pat on the back, sometimes that's all people need.
Right.
Well, and that's important, what you just brought up, Sandy, about people getting up and they build confidence, because the days of writers who just write and then send their material off are over.
Yes.
Marketing and getting out there and being a face to a book or a magazine or whatever it is you're producing is critical in order to sell yourself today. Everybody that we've met that's a successful author has said there's no more sitting behind your desk and just sending stuff off and getting a check. You need to get out there and you need to learn to be comfortable in a variety of arenas, whether it's radio or in person. Even somebody who's signing books can't just sit there and growl at people. They have to be able to talk and maybe read their stuff out loud.
Right.
And I'll tell you, the first time I ever read anything out loud, it was a very emotional experience, even though I was just reading to some friends in a book club. That's an emotional experience, and that's where you get your legs, is at a place like Imprint.
Well, girls, thank you very much. This was a lot of fun. I've learned a lot. I can't thank you all for starting Imprint enough. It was very nice of you to do this for us.
Oh, go on.
Thank you once again for being here.
Thank you, Sandy.
Thanks, Bob.
And just a reminder, you can join Imprint at their 5-year celebration on Saturday, March 12th at Cliff Breakers. Tickets are available on the website imprintwriters.org.